Hi, my name is Liz Hathway and this is my astrological look at the week ahead, and that is the week starting, put my glasses on, Monday the 30th of September 2019. Okay, so it's maybe a little idea to reflect back on where we were at the beginning of September, because tomorrow is the 1st of October. In early September, we had Saturn, Chiron, Uranus, Neptune and Pluto all retrograde. So in that respect, it was a real month of undertow being pulled back. Now we have coming into early October, Saturn has gone direct, and this week on Thursday, Pluto goes direct. So two of those heavyweight planets, two of the main players, two of the players that are going to be setting in many ways, the shape of the future for many years to come, because the conjunction of Saturn and Pluto in January 2020, it's the start of their new cycle. So they're going to be sort of laying the groundwork for events that are going to play out for a very long time, generations even, really. If we look at, last Saturn-Pluto conjunctions, the First World War, Second World War, creation of India, Pakistan, Israel, Palestine, all of these are sort of carrying the signature of Saturn-Pluto. So we know when these two planets, Saturn-Pluto, come together in January next year, it's not just about that day that they actually meet. It's about, what they are setting up historically. How are events for decades to come going to be affected by that? So it's worth just reflecting now that we've only got Chiron, Uranus and Neptune now retrograde. Saturn and Pluto have now both turned direct, or rather Pluto will go direct on Thursday. It's a big point. So I'm going to really backstep now, because we mustn't forget, we've got a week in front of us here. So starting with today, we see the moon, we just had the new moon, so moon is moving out of Libra in the course of the day. It's moving into Scorpio. It'll be opposite Uranus there on Monday. But then we start to come into the major aspects, which is Tuesday's Venus, Pluto square. Ooh. On a positive note, we could say Venus square Pluto. We could say this is the power of love. This is a profound love. This is love that goes beyond the grave. This is a love that it can just survive death and even possibly be carried on into a meeting in a future life. It's that kind of, death it goes beyond that. It survives death. So it's very profound in that way. There's a real depth to it. But on another level, of course, because Pluto is connected with secrets, with underworld, with, the sort of soul's desires, we can see how this square could be really tricky, particularly when people are doing things that they want to hide. So if you think in terms of British politics at the moment, with Boris Johnson, there's a kind of a bit of a hint there that he had a sort of special interest relation with an American businesswoman. I think I can't even read my own handwriting, that's terrible. I think I've got here Jennifer Akuri, I hope that's right. But these kinds of hidden things that can't actually, take the light of day, can't survive scrutiny, those kinds of things under Venus-Pluto square can trip us up. Things have to be transparent, because if there's a whiff of scandal, if there's a whiff of, where gain, because Venus, let's face it, Venus is always about wealth. It's about, what we treasure in all kinds of shapes and sizes. And with Pluto there, the lengths that we will go to acquire those things, to claim them, to have them as our own. So, people in high positions, people in positions of power and authority, this is a bit of an Achilles heel aspect for them. Yeah, it's a big, big aspect, this Venus-Pluto on Tuesday. And on a more personal level, for us sort of plebs, shall we say, it's about being aware about our jealousies, where, We, a little bit jealous of other people's success or people we think are further than we are. You know, these are sort of like the undercurrents of Pluto. Coming into Thursday then, we have that Pluto station direct. It'll be pretty much stationary now already. Pluto sort of hangs out for a while. These like slow moving planets, when they station, they kind of like dig in for a bit. So if you've got any, you know, planets around this degree of the station, you know, within a few degrees either way, you're going to feel it. And on that same day, we see Mercury moving into Scorpio. So when I, you know, just immediately the sort of words that came to mind, one word, nigredo. This is an alchemical term, and it means deepening, darkening, blackening. Yeah. So this is a really sort of, we're going deeper here. We're going much deeper. It's about, in a way as well, Pluto direct, Mercury into Scorpio. You know, this whole idea of nigredo in terms of alchemy, I have to read what I've written here. It's about undifferentiated awareness. It's about instinct. It's about, you know, really where conscious and unconscious come together in this sort of instinctual drive. And, you know, that's the first stage of this process. And then the second stage is individuation and awareness of the personal shadow. And then, you know, there's this moment, you could say almost in processes, certainly with Pluto station as well, of maximum desperation, maximum despair. And then there's this confrontation with the shadow. And then there's this ability then, after that darkest hour, you know, after that disillusionment, to move into the next stage. So this is a very deep moment here on Thursday with Pluto stationary direct, Mercury blackening, going into Scorpio, go for the jugular. You know, there's a lot of instinct in there. But at the same time, as Mercury becomes Mars ruled, as Scorpio, old ruler of Scorpio is, of course, Mars, we see Mars itself moving into Libra. And this is the sign where Mars is traditionally detrimented, because Mars is very much about the will, you know, and the desire nature. And you could say in a way, you know, what does Mars in Libra desire? Well, you know, the easy route, you know, let's sort of not make too big a deal of it. Let's, you know, it's kind of a non-confrontational Mars in many ways, looking for the easy way out. So it's a kind of, it's because of that looking for the easy way out side of Mars in Libra, particularly when the Sun moves into Scorpio, if Mars is still in there. I have to say I haven't checked that far ahead yet, but I think it is, because, you know, Mars is in a sign for a few months in general. But you could think of things like sellout, buy-offs, particularly with that Venus-Pluto square going on Tuesday. You know, any dodgy dealings go up a notch here. How can we sort of, you know, come out of this without a confrontation? Whereas Mars in Aries is in your face. I'm going to fight it out with you. Let's have it out. Mars in Libra wants to avoid that confrontation. So that's kind of a theme here in this week as well. And then we get into Saturday. We've got that, as I say, that non-confrontational sort of energy of Mars in Libra. Sun is also in Libra now. And then on Sunday we have the Sun squaring the nodal axis. So, you know, the Sun squaring the nodal axis as well. It's the Sun, in a way, is on the midpoint then between the nodes. And Sun is always about consciousness. So you could see this almost like a sort of a crossroads in a way. Yeah, and in Libra season, you know, there is that sense when things are in perfect balance, there's also standstill. You know, perfect balance is also that. You know, something has to give. It can't stay like that. And that it can't stay like that is pretty much related as well to the fact that now Saturn is direct and Pluto's moving direct. And these two planets are now moving towards the big showdown in a way, the clash of the giants, the slugfest or whatever you want to call it. That's going to be coming in January next year. Interesting week. Keep your intentions as transparent as possible. Be aware of the undercurrents, you know, and just remember as well, taking the easy way out quite often means that later down the line, as we've seen with Venus Pluto, things have a tendency, truth will out. That was my look at the week. Thank you for listening.